For 89 years, receiving an official plaque in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York has been considered the highest honor for a ball player. Who determines whether or not the players deserve such an honor has not changed the entire time. Since 1936, the Baseball Writers Association of America has had the exclusive privilege of voting for potential Hall of Famers when they first become eligible. Players, coaches, teammates, fans, broadcasters, and media members who are not part of the BWAA have no say in the matter. Furthermore, there's a limit of 10 names per ballot, and as more and more players get snubbed and ballots get clogged, more players get overlooked, with some of the greatest players in baseball history not only getting snubbed, but not even getting 5% of the vote, which starting in the 1980s got you completely kicked off the ballot in future years. Today we'll be ranking the top 25 MLB players who got knocked off of the ballot for not being able to muster a measly 5% of the vote. And although I'm not saying every one of these players should be in the Hall of Fame, there is no doubt that most of them deserved a deeper look. And it's my opinion that many of these voters simply look at the names and fill out their ballot without even doing the smallest bit of research to verify that their initial reaction to a particular name is the correct reaction. Many players quietly put together Hall of Fame careers without becoming mega superstars with a name like Derek Jeter or Frank Thomas. And today we'll be counting down the 25 best players who fell below the 5% threshold on a ballot during the past 45 years. I'm only focusing on those ballots going back to 1980 when the 5% rule went into effect. And most of them were one and dones. They didn't even get a second look. A few went on to make the Hall of Fame thanks to the Veterans Committee, but most are still on the outside. Some names I considered but fell just short include Joe Nathan, Rick Russell, John Olerud, Chuck Finley, Dan Quisenberry, Johnny Damon, Toby Harrah, and Dwight Gooden. All of these guys were kicked off the ballot for not getting 5% of the vote. But before getting to the top 25, I have 5 steroid-related mentions who I kept off the main list because it's obvious why they were snubbed, but they still, in my opinion, deserved more than 5%. Bartolo Colon. Big Sexy was a fan favorite who played for 21 years, won a Cy Young Award, had a total of 247 victories, and struck out over 2,500 batters. And he also hit perhaps the most viral home run in the internet era.
Looking for his first hit of the year. He drives one! Deep left field! Back goes Upton! Back near the wall! It's out of here! Bartolo has done it!
Colon got just 1.3% of the vote in 2024, probably due to a 50-game suspension in 2012 for elevated levels of testosterone. Jason Giambi. Giambi had a 20-year career in which he became an absolute superstar during his peak around 2000. He won an MVP, made 5 straight All-Star teams, and won 2 Silver Sluggers. And aside from this elite 5-year period, Giambi was excellent at reaching base and hitting dingers. He retired with 440 bombs and a .399 on-base percentage. Giambi has admitted to taking PEDs, and he got just 1.5% of the vote in 2020. Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro was good enough to hang around the ballot for a few years, but the voters gave up on him in year 4 when he got just 4.4% of the vote, falling off. We're talking about one of just 7 players with 3,000 hits and 500 home runs. He also played elite defense and won 3 Gold Glove awards. Unfortunately, his wagging of the finger under oath, insisting that he never touched steroids, followed quickly by a failed steroid test, pretty much sealed his fate with the voters. Kevin Brown. Maybe his name doesn't jump off the page as an obvious Hall of Famer, but Kevin Brown was better than many people remember. He pitched for 19 seasons, made 6 All-Star teams, won 2 ERA titles, and had double-digit wins in 13 seasons, including at least 15 wins 6 times. In 1992, he won a league-leading 21 games, but was even better in 96 with the Marlins, a year he had a 1.9 ERA with 3 shutouts, finishing second for the Cy Young. And then in 97, he threw the second no-hitter in Marlins franchise history. He finished in the top 6 for the Cy Young 5 times and was a workhorse, surpassing 200 innings 9 times. But he was named in the 2007 Mitchell Report and got 2.1% of the vote in 2011. Jose Canseco. It's pretty obvious that the godfather of the steroid era was never getting into Cooperstown, but in the late 80s there was no bigger name in the game. He made baseball history by becoming the first player to crush 40 homers and steal 40 bases in the same season, and he also won a Rookie of the Year, MVP award, and 4 Silver Sluggers. Canseco crushed 462 home runs in his career, just 38 short of the magic 500. But he got 1.1% of the vote on the Hall of Fame ballot. Now the writers can use steroids as an excuse for those 5, but what about the next 25, all of whom should have gotten a lot more Hall of Fame consideration while on the initial ballot? Number 25, Jimmy Wynn. Wynn might be the best player in MLB history to get precisely 0% of the vote. He got kicked off the ballot in 1983 without a single vote on 374 ballots. Wynn was nicknamed the Toy Cannon, and despite being just 5'9", he had huge power, crushing at least 20 home runs 8 separate times. He also had a phenomenal eye and led the league in walks multiple times. He had 3 separate seasons with a WAR above 7, stole 225 career bases, played solid defense, and retired with a 55.9 career WAR, higher than Hank Greenberg, David Ortiz, and Fred McGriff. And he got 0% of the vote. Number 24, George Foster. Cincinnati Reds legend George Foster had an insane peak in the late 70s when he averaged 38 home runs per season for 4 years, maxing out at 52. He led the league in RBIs for 3 straight seasons, made 5 All-Star teams, and got MVP votes in 5 seasons, finishing in the top 3 times and winning the award in 1977, a year in which he led the league in runs, homers, RBIs, and slugging. But he was also good aside from that period, as he hit over 20 home runs 10 times in his career while hitting for average. Foster was excellent in the postseason as well, smashing 2 bombs in the 1976 NLCS, then hitting .429 in the Fall Classic. But in 1994, he fell off the ballot with 3.5% of the vote. Number 23, Lance Berkman. For 15 years, Lance Berkman consistently hit around 300 with power. He made 6 All-Star teams and hit over 290 8 times, including 2001 when he hit 331. And he hit at least 20 homers a year for 10 straight seasons, twice exceeding 40. He was also a doubles machine, leading the league in the category twice. Berkman was a key member of the 2011 champion St. Louis Cardinals club, hitting .301 with 31 bombs that year, and then he hit .423 with a bomb in the World Series. He finished in the top 3 for the MVP twice and in the top 7 6 times. Shockingly, just 5 voters checked his name. Good for 1.2% of the vote. Number 22, Ted Simmons. Legendary Cardinals catcher Ted Simmons eventually did make the Hall of Fame, but it was no thanks to the writers, who gave him 3.7% of the vote his first and last year on the writers' ballot. Simmons was a durable catcher for over 20 years in the big leagues. He made 8 All-Star teams and could absolutely rake, hitting over 300 7 times. He also crushed at least 20 homers 6 times. Simmons was never a huge superstar, but he had incredible longevity and consistency, resulting in a .285 career average, 2,472 hits, and 248 home runs. Number 21, Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams played for 16 seasons, all with the Yankees, made 5 straight All-Star teams, and hit over 300 for 8 straight years, including a league-leading .339 in 1998. He also surpassed 20 homers for 5 straight years and played elite defense, winning 4 consecutive Gold Gloves. He broke an MLB record for postseason RBIs, retiring with 80, and also smashed 22 postseason bombs, helping the Yanks win 4 World Series championships. Unbelievably, he got kicked off the ballot his second year, getting just 3.3% of the vote. Number 20, Willie Randolph. Willie Randolph was a patient hitter, excellent bunter, speedster, and phenomenal defensive second baseman for 18 years, most notably for the New York Yankees. He walked 1,243 times in his career, had a .373 on-base percentage, stole 271 bases, won 2 World Series rings, and made 6 All-Star teams. Randolph won a Silver Slugger in 1980 when he led the league with 119 walks, stole 30 bases, and hit .294 with a .427 on-base percentage. He had an amazing career, and maybe he didn't deserve to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I would have expected more than the pathetic 1.1% the writers gave him in 1998.
You know what? This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
Number 19, Harold Baines. Baines was never a massive superstar, but he was an excellent power hitter who helped his teams win games for over 20 years, providing incredible longevity and production. Baines, a six-time All-Star, retired with 2,866 hits, a .289 batting average, and 384 home runs. He hit at least 20 home runs in 12 separate seasons and had a .324 career postseason batting average and over 100 at-bats. Baines was by no means a shoo-in, but he definitely deserved more than the 4.8% of the vote he got in 2011, kicking him off the ballot. He was eventually inducted by the committee as part of the class of 2019. Number 18, Will Clark. For the first half of his career, Will the Thrill Clark was without a doubt on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He made the All-Star team in 6 out of 7 years, made the top 10 for the MVP 3 times, hit at least 304 times with power, and was absolutely clutch in the postseason, hitting .360 in the 87 NLCS, then .650 in the 89 NLCS, taking home the NLCS MVP. He was also an elite defensive first baseman and won a Gold Glove in 1991. He moved on to the Texas Rangers and continued to hit around 300 every season with pop, but he didn't make another All-Star game after 1994. With his final team, the St. Louis Cardinals, Clark hit .345 in 51 games, and then, after the season, announced his retirement. He hit .303 for his career with 284 homers and 2,176 hits. Maybe not enough for induction, but Clark couldn't even stay on the ballot as he got 4.4% of the vote in 2006, making him a one and done.
You motherfuckers.
Number 17, Greg Nettles. An elite defensive third baseman who could also smash home runs, Greg Nettles would have won at least 10 Gold Gloves if not for the human vacuum cleaner down in Baltimore, Brooks Robinson. Nettles still managed to win a couple Gold Gloves in the late 70s, and he also smashed 20-plus home runs 9 times, finishing his career with 390 bombs. He made 6 All-Star teams and had some big postseason moments as well that helped the Yankees win 2 World Series crowns. At the time of his retirement, Nettles made it to his 4th year on the ballot before being removed for getting just 4.7% of the vote. Number 16, Sal Bando. Next up, we have an excellent defensive third baseman who could rake, and it's Sal Bando, who for about a decade was one of the best third basemen in the game, smashing over 20 home runs almost every season while playing excellent defense. He almost never missed a game and made 3 straight All-Star teams in the mid-70s and a total of 4 in his career. Bando averaged 21 homers per year for an 11-year period and finished in the top 4 for MVP 3 times, finishing second in 1971. His career WAR is higher than Harmon Killebrew and Vladimir Guerrero Sr., yet he got an insane 3 votes on his first and only ballot, 0.7% of the vote. Number 15, Bobby Grich. Coming up next is a vastly underrated player who made 6 All-Star teams and won 4 Gold Gloves. When comparing Grich to other second basemen, he appears to be one of the greatest of all time and gets nowhere close to that type of respect. On the Jaws list for second baseman, he comes in at number 8, above Hall of Famers Ryne Sandberg, Jackie Robinson, and Craig Biggio. How is that possible? 2 reasons: his ability to work a walk and his elite defense. He worked at least 75 walks 9 times in his career and retired with a .371 on-base percentage. On defense, he was probably the best in the game for a 5-year period. But Grich got 2.6% of the vote his first year on the ballot. A one and done. Number 14, David Cone. Cone made a name for himself in his 3rd season, 1988, when he went 20-3 with a 2.22 ERA, making his first of 5 All-Star teams and finishing 3rd for the Cy Young. He continued to be a dominant force in the Mets rotation for years, leading the league in strikeouts in back-to-back seasons until moving on to Kansas City, where he won a Cy Young Award in 1994. Then he took his talents to the Yankees and won 20 games in 1998. He was also masterful in the postseason, winning 5 total rings with 3 separate teams, pitching in a major role for each, and dominating in the World Series with a 2.12 ERA. He retired with 2,668 strikeouts, 27th on the all-time list, but David Cone got a shocking 3.9% of the vote in 2009. Number 13, Orel Hershiser. This is a man with a Cy Young Award, MLB Player of the Year award, Silver Slugger, ALCS MVP, NLCS MVP, World Series MVP, and Gold Glove award. Add all that to a World Series ring and 3 All-Star appearances. During the late 80s, he was one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball, and in 1988 he threw a record 59 consecutive scoreless innings and finished the season 23-8 with a 2.26 ERA. Hershiser continued to pitch well throughout his career, and although his regular season totals might not scream Hall of Famer, his overall accomplishments make him easily worthy. But the voters disagreed, and he got 4.4% of the vote his second year on the ballot, falling off completely. Number 12, Reggie Smith. One of the better all-around players of the 1970s, Reggie Smith is an extremely underrated talent who hit for average and power while playing excellent defense in the outfield for over 10 years. With the Boston Red Sox, he averaged 24 homers a year for 5 seasons, led the league in doubles twice, finished second for the Rookie of the Year, and won a Gold Glove. After back-to-back All-Star seasons with St. Louis, he moved on to the Dodgers, where he had 2 more elite seasons in 77 and 78, making the All-Star team both times, finishing 4th for the MVP both times, while smashing 61 homers. He finished his career with 7 All-Star nods, a .287 average, 314 homers, and over 2,000 hits. His career WAR is higher than Willie McCovey, Dave Winfield, and Todd Helton. Voters just saw his name and thought, nah, only 3 writers checked Reggie Smith's name in 1988, 0.7% of the vote. Number 11, Buddy Bell. One of the greatest defensive third basemen of all time, Buddy Bell won 6 consecutive Gold Gloves in the late 70s and early 80s. He was also no slouch at the plate, collecting 2,514 career hits, more than any third baseman not in the Hall of Fame. He also hit over 200 homers during his 18-year career. Bell never made the postseason, which likely hurt his Hall of Fame chances, but based on his contributions offensively and defensively, along with his total numbers, he should have gotten serious consideration. Instead, Buddy Bell got 1.7% of the vote his first year on the ballot, falling off permanently. Number 10, Vida Blue. Now it's time for the top 10, and we have a legendary pitcher who seemed to do everything he needed to do to get in the Hall of Fame. He had a fantastic 17-year career, made 6 All-Star teams, won 3 World Series rings, and was so good in 1971 with Oakland that he took home both the Cy Young and MVP awards. That year, Vida Blue had a 1.82 ERA, 24-8 record, and over 300 strikeouts. And yes, it was his best year, but it wasn't his only great year. He won 20 or more games 3 times and 17 or more 6 times. Blue retired with a solid 3.27 ERA, 209 wins, and 2,175 strikeouts. But a drug possession charge in the early 80s had a huge effect on his Hall of Fame chances. And the voters, who are all clearly perfect individuals who don't make mistakes, refused to support Blue, giving him just 3.1% of the vote in 1994. Number 9, Albert Bell. Next up is a player known more for his insane temper and toxic relationship with the media than his talent on the field. And this unfortunately has kept him out of Cooperstown, as Albert Bell got just 7% of the vote his first year on the ballot, and then the next year dropped to 3%, falling off. He only played 12 years but was an absolute machine the whole time, driving in over 100 runs 9 consecutive times, and that includes the strike short in 1994 when he smashed 36 home runs in just 101 games. Bell finished in the top 3 for MVP 3 times and in the top 10 5 times, and could have easily won the award and should have won the award in 1995 when he crushed a league-leading 50 home runs and 126 RBIs. The 5-time All-Star and 5-time Silver Slugger is the only player to ever hit 50 homers and 50 doubles in the same season. Unfortunately, he had to retire early due to a degenerative back condition, but he still managed 381 home runs, over 1,200 RBIs, and a .295 batting average. Number 8, Carlos Delgado. Next up, Carlos Delgado, who smashed 473 homers, just 27 shy of 500. And I'm sure if he reached 500, he not only would have topped 5%, he probably would have been elected. But again, the writers, not the sharpest tools in the shed. In 2003, Delgado hit 42 homers with an incredible 145 RBIs while hitting .302 with an OPS over 1,000. Aside from that year, he was incredibly consistent, crushing at least 30 home runs 11 times, going over 43 times. And here's a wild fact. He drove in more runs than Mickey Mantle. The voters did Delgado dirty when they gave him just 3.8% of the vote in 2015. Number 7, Darrell Evans. Darrell Evans came in as my number 1 underrated player of all time on an earlier countdown. He brought elite power and defense to the table for over 20 years. His lack of gold gloves is due to competition from Mike Schmidt, but Evans was still amazing at third base, and his patience at the plate was absolutely elite. He had a .361 career on-base percentage and averaged 25 homers a year throughout his entire career. He reached 40 bombs twice, once a league-leading number in 1985, and he was underappreciated even when he played, making just 2 All-Star teams. It's not too surprising, then, that he got a measly 1.7% of the vote on the Hall of Fame ballot. Absolutely ridiculous. Number 6, Ron Santo. Chicago Cubs legend Ron Santo was a multi-talented player who could field like few others, but also had big power, along with an incredible knack for getting on base. He was the best fielding third baseman in the National League during the 1960s and won 5 straight Gold Gloves, but also led the league in on-base percentage twice and led the league in walks 4 times. Santo smashed at least 20 home runs 11 times and retired with 342 round trippers and a career on-base percentage of .362. He also made 9 All-Star teams, but on the Hall of Fame ballot got a stunning 3.9% of the vote in 1980. Fortunately, the committee did vote for him at a 93.8% rate in 2012, and he made it into the Hall of Fame, but he had already passed away.
You blew it!
Number 5, Dwight Evans. One of my top Hall of Fame snubs of all time, Dwight Evans brought an incredible combination of power, patience, and elite defense to the ballpark every night. Evans won 8 Gold Gloves, led the league in walks 3 times, and hit at least 20 home runs in 11 separate seasons. He retired with a .370 on-base percentage and 385 home runs. He's a borderline Hall of Famer with his bat alone, but the 8 Gold Gloves should definitely have put him over the top. Instead, he barely survived his first year on the ballot, getting just 5.9% of the vote, and then jumped to over 10, but inexplicably fell off the ballot in year 3 with just 3.6% of the vote. Number 4, Jim Edmonds. Maybe we can excuse some of the voters from prior decades, but how is it possible, even in the analytical age, that so many voters could possibly snub a player like Jim Edmonds? In 2016, his first year on the ballot, Edmonds got 2.5% of the vote. And yes, the ballot was crowded, with names like Griffey Jr., Piazza, Bagwell, Raines, Hoffman, Schilling, Bonds, McGriff, etc., etc. But many of those ballots were made public, and check it out. Many voters don't use their 10 votes. Here's a look at some of the ballots. Notice how many have less than 10 names. Notice how almost none include Jim Edmonds, a human highlight reel in center field. He won 8 Gold Gloves and was just 7 home runs shy of 400. For his first 6 seasons in St. Louis, he averaged 35 homers per year. He helped the Cardinals win the World Series in 2006 and hit 13 career postseason home runs. And he even had a solid career batting average of .284. This one is definitely a head scratcher. Number 3, Keith Hernandez. Perhaps the best defensive first baseman in the history of the game, Keith Hernandez played for 17 years, collected over 2,100 hits, and retired with a batting average of .296 and an on-base percentage of .384. He also won an insane 11 Gold Gloves. Just on those facts alone, he should be in the Hall of Fame. However, let's add a few more. Hernandez made 5 All-Star teams, won 2 Silver Sluggers, 2 World Series rings, and even a National League MVP award in 1979 when he hit .344 while leading the league in doubles. It's truly unbelievable that Hernandez never reached more than 10.4% of the vote, and in his 9th year, he got 4.3% and fell off the ballot. His career WAR is better than fellow first basemen David Ortiz, Harmon Killebrew, and Orlando Cepeda. This is one of the most baffling cases I've ever seen as far as Hall of Fame snubs go, but it's not the most baffling on today's list because at least he stayed on the ballot for 9 years. The next 2 are one and dones. Number 2, Lou Whitaker, a 5-tool player who did almost everything well for 19 years. Second baseman Lou Whitaker was insultingly thrown off the ballot after receiving 2.9% of the vote in 2001. with 2,369 hits and 244 bombs. Maybe he didn't hit the major milestones, but he helped his team win games for 19 years, all for the Detroit Tigers. He won a Rookie of the Year, was a 5-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glover, and even a 4-time Silver Slugger. His career WAR is better than Reggie Jackson, Derek Jeter, and Tony Gwynn, among many other Hall of Famers. He also had over 1,100 career walks and an impressive .363 career on-base percentage, the same as Hall of Famer Craig Biggio. The top 3 players who compared to Whitaker in the similarity scores metric are Ryne Sandberg, Alan Trammell, and Roberto Alomar, all Hall of Famers. But Whitaker not only fell off the main ballot, he has not even been considered by the committee yet. Number 1, Kenny Lofton. But for number 1, I decided to go with Kenny Lofton. For the 2013 election, if any voter with extra room on their ballot decided to just do 5 minutes of research on Kenny Lofton, they probably would have checked his name. Instead, they thought, speedy outfielder, made some nice catches, not a Hall of Famer. But Kenny Lofton was more than just speedy. He was an all-around talent who could do everything well, including hit. Lofton had 2,428 hits, 622 steals, 4 Gold Gloves, and 6 All-Star selections, all amid the steroid era, competing with juiced-up sluggers. He even hit double-digit home runs 7 times. His career batting average fell just short of 300 at .299. And aside from Rickey Henderson, Lofton became the best leadoff hitter in baseball. He has a career WAR higher than Ernie Banks, higher than Miguel Cabrera, higher than many other current and future Hall of Famers. Yet Lofton got 3.2% of the vote his first year on the ballot, and he fell off completely. That is absolutely insane. And that is going to do it for my top 25 sub 5% Hall of Fame snubs who were kicked off the ballot by the writers. And it's an absolute embarrassment that the system has not been updated to give some of these underrated and undervalued players a better shot at Cooperstown. Fortunately, the committee saved a few of them, but so many others are still on the outside looking in. Let me know what you think of these players and which ones deserve enshrinement. And even if you think, nah, these guys aren't quite good enough, don't you think they at least deserve to stay on the ballot a few years? And also let me know if I missed any other obvious snubs who fell off the ballot. For this video, I focused on the last 45 years, but you could even go back to the 50s and 60s, and many great players who should be in the Hall of Fame could not manage 5%. But at least back then, it wasn't an automatic removal from the ballot. So everyone have a great day. Thanks for checking out the video, and I look forward to talking to y'all again in the next one.